So now I have the pleasure to introduce our last speaker, is Fabian Uetz. Fabian is CEO and co-founder of Tesenso IoT Solutions since 2021. And after various roles in Credit Suisse and serious management position in the IoT sector in Amstein. So thank you for joining us.
Very warm welcome from my side and very good afternoon. I'm the last speaker today, so I have the honor to keep you a little bit more on the topic. My presentation today is about how to scale your smart metering use cases using IoT. And today I want to speak mainly about sub-metering, so I don't talk about the utility topic. The challenge, especially the last few months, we see every day in the newspapers, the energy prices are at risk of exploding. It's not just to the political situation, it's a general challenge which we need to take care since a few years, and it will challenge us even more the coming years. It has different impacts. In the industrial sector, you see that the production costs, for example, if you talk about French fries, you have a production cost which is mainly driven by the operations and the energy price. And if the energy price is increasing up to 30 or 40%, then of course your operation needs to change and needs to optimize a lot. And that's what all of our customers do right now with us. Then second thing is the real estate sector, the residential buildings. There you see that, or basically you read in the newspaper, but at the end of the year there will be a big bill. And that's why the last few months we got a lot of requests from building owners, and they ask us how can we reduce the energy costs for our tenants. So what are the consequences of this development I showed on the previous slide? If you're a real estate developer, then especially for residential buildings, the buildings built before 1990 became sometimes up to 30% less attractive for tenants within 1 year due to increasing energy prices. You are facing a declining market value due to higher investment requirements, so maybe you need to invest already now and not in 5 or 10 years. And in general, as I mentioned before, you have massive higher production costs due to, especially in energy-intensive industries. Now, what can building owners do about it? If you're a residential or a residential building owner, then of course the first thing you do is that you check your portfolio, or if you're an industrial company, you check your production facilities and check where exactly you need to invest first. A tool to do that is an energy management system, or it also can be your utility bill, but out of your utility bill you don't see that much. Then the second step is that you do data-based investment decisions. So you go there and you do energy renovation for existing buildings, so they're called brownfield, or you design and build new buildings according to certain certificates and labels, such as Minergie in Switzerland. Adrian from Jobst Willers can as well there support you. And the challenge, especially in new buildings, is as well, if you are in a planning phase, you want to predict what is the future energy consumption and what is needed as a future energy supply for your building or for your industrial area. And there, usually, after the project is completed, it can happen that you have a so-called performance gap. What is a performance gap? A performance gap is in case the predicted value from the planning phase for energy consumption is lower than the effective, the real energy consumption. And that's a development in the market, which also, for example, a Minergie label took care of, and they introduced or released this Minergie Plus monitoring system, where you exactly compare the real world with the planned world. And today I want to take you on a deep dive on one specific project. It's based in Basel. It's several square kilometer large industrial area. You have over 50 industrial buildings. Some are production facilities, some are residential or office buildings. And the goal of that project in general is to plan the energy supply for the next 10, 20, even 30 or 50 years. And the challenge was that it's an existing industrial area. You have some buildings, they are 40 years old, 50 years old. You have some, they are 10 years old. So in the facility management, you have as well the challenge that every 5 years, sometimes the provider change. So there is not much documentation around and data around where you can base on if you want to make investment decisions. And here on this area, we don't talk about a few 10,000 Swiss francs, we talk about million Swiss franc investments. So that's why in that project, we really needed good investment decision data. And the last challenge was that some of the buildings should be removed within 5-10 years, and some buildings should be reused in another way. So there were a lot of challenges, as you see on the slide. And on the previous slide, you saw as well that these underground basements, there were a lot of tubes with for the energy supply, with steam, with water, with gas, etc. And because you have such a variety of different buildings and such a different age of these buildings, you have completely different infrastructure. So you have very old meters like this one on the slide here. You have newer meters like that one, but you had like the challenge was like, how do you solve this challenge within 3 or 6 months? Because if we don't solve it within 3 or 6 months, then the whole project is stopped because you have no data foundation where you can make decisions on. And then for us, where we came into the game, for us, our challenge was to play basically Lego at its best. And that's what the solution was. We took different IoT devices, some from third-party manufacturers or from our partners, some we are from our own product portfolio, and we retrofitted basically all the necessary meters within a very short time. You also could say now, as well, we could equip all meters or remove all meters and equip new meters, but as well there you lose a lot of time and you have a higher investment cost. So that's the way to go. At the end, when I come back again to the more overview on a portfolio view, or if you have a look on an industrial area, the goal is basically to get a chart like this, where are the buildings which have a high priority and where are the buildings which have a low priority on an investment decision side. And after the project, we still have this data today running, but the result was basically this chart. So we could deliver the data from the energy meters to our planning partners, such as Jobst Willers, Amstein Walter, etc. And they then could give advice and consult the industrial owner which action and which buildings should be taken first, and where you need energy in the future and where you don't need energy at all anymore, because if you don't measure it, you don't know it. And a little bit of background in general, today we have around 1.2 million square meters energy reference space in our system. It's more on the residential part. There is not the industrial space included. And at the end, as I already said, to summarize it, you need the qualitative energy monitoring, you need simple verification, and you need to detect also malfunctions on the meter side and on the building operation. I'm happy to ask your question or to answer your questions.
Thank you. Questions from the audience? So just one very quick question. Where do you see the biggest opportunity next to smart metering?
I think one very large opportunity in general is the utility part. And the second thing is really to bring our buildings in Switzerland and all over the world to this CO2 reduction path. Because, basically, if you have a look at Europe, Europe is built. There is not like in the Middle East or other areas where you just build completely new cities. And our challenge the next 10, 20 years is how we bring this massive a massive amount of buildings to a CO2 reduction path.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You need it.